Welcome to the complete JavaScript tutorial. In this course, we will go through all the basics to advanced concept in JavaScript. If you never learn a programming language, this is the perfect course for you. Because in this course, I will not just focus on what is special in JavaScript, but also I will go through algorithms in JavaScript. Okay, so let's go to what is this programming language. JavaScript is a programming language of HTML and the web. So this is the old simple definition of JavaScript. But currently you can create complete web application using JavaScript. Before a while you can use JavaScript just in the browser to use something like event to just make the page interactive. But currently you can create a complete web application from the front end to the back end using JavaScript. If you don't understand what I mean by that, don't worry, we will go through it inside the course. JavaScript currently you can use it also to create mobile application using frameworks like React Native. Also you can use JavaScript to create desktop application using frameworks like Electron.js. Okay, so if you learn this language you can very much create everything. Okay, so the editor of the text that we're gonna use in this course is created by a framework in JavaScript, and this editor is the first in the world. So let's go to the structure of the course. First, on the left side is the basics of JavaScript. So we're gonna through what is variables, to if statements, condition using switch case, arrays, for loops, while loops, and we will do so much exercises to practice what we have learned. And also we will go through famous algorithms in JavaScript that you can find in your interview if you want to pass an interview of a company in web development. After, in the right side, we will go through the AE6, the ECMAScript, and we will go through classes, the basics of constructor, this keyword, and the method, properties, arrows, functions, JavaScript inheritance, and also we will go through so much exercises. Okay, so this is a complete course for JavaScript. For people who ask questions about events and so on, I will make another playlist for people who learn HTML and CSS and want to know how we can manipulate the web pages. I will create another playlist for that. But this course is completely for beginners that never learn a programming language. We will install our tool that we're gonna need to use through this course. Okay, so the editor of the text that I choose is VS Code. Okay, is the most famous editor of the text in web development and in most of the languages like Python. Okay, so we will use this editor and through all this course. The reason why I choose this editor is we're gonna need the terminal. Okay, you can use a more simple editor like brackets, but I prefer to use this editor. I don't want when we get to a video to say to you, hey, we have to install an VS Code. Okay, but we're gonna install it from the first video. Okay, so to install it you have just to go to http://code.visualstudio.com/download. so open your browser, okay, and type google.com. so we will go to the official website for VS Code, so you can type just Visual Studio Code install or download. In the first website you have just to click, and here in the first page I have the platform Windows or Linux or Mac. You can choose your platform. For my case I will choose Windows. Okay, and when you click you have just to install it like a normal program. You don't have to watch any other video, just skip like you install any other program. Okay, after installing, just your tab and click on search for Visual Studio Code and you click. Okay, so this is the platform of Visual Studio Code. Don't worry about all this is navigation. We will just work in this course in this tab here. This is the files. Okay, now I don't have any file, so I will go to my desktop here and I will create a new folder. I will name it JavaScript. Okay, so I create a new folder, I name it JavaScript. Now I will open this folder with Visual Studio Code. Okay, open folder, I will go to my desktop. Here I find JavaScript and I will click select folder, and now I have my folder. I can create a new file, I can create a new folder. Okay, new folder, new file, and this is what you need so far. If you have any problem in the installation or your platform is different than mine and you find some issues, just ask me in the comments. I will be more than happy to answer you. Discover what are variables. So the most simple definition is variables used to store data. So if I want to create variables, for example name, this is a simple example. I want to create a variable in JavaScript. I use the word var, variable, the word var before the reference that I want to create. For example, I want to create a variable called name, so I will create var name equal, and here I will give a value. So the value here is CMO, and this CMO between double quotes. Okay, this double quote means this is a string. Okay, so let's jump into our editor of the text. So I will go to Visual Studio Code here. Remember, we have an empty folder, and I will create a folder called index.html. Okay, and here to write a JavaScript code, I want to create a tag script. Okay, if you don't understand this, if you never learn HTML and CSS, don't worry. This is a course that we're gonna focus on the programming side of JavaScript. Okay, so I will create a script. So to make sure that this is work, we will just console.log. We will display this function, just display in the console. I will show you and you will understand. Console.log hello world. So to see the result of this, what I mean by this function, don't worry about this tag script, just type it like that. Okay, I want to display in the console hello world. So I will save, and I will go back to my desktop. Okay, and the desktop I have this JavaScript folder that I create. I have also my file that I create in the Visual Studio Code index.html. So I will click twice to open it with my browser. So I will choose Google Chrome. Great, I have nothing. To see the result that we have done in our editor, you can click to inspector. Okay, I will repeat. We are inside our page, normal page. I have an empty page, so I will click here. I will click in the right, and I will click inspector, and I will click in the console, and I have something here. I have hello world. Okay, so I will just make this bigger, and I have this hello world. So this is the result here. I type here console.log. This console.log mean display. So I will make a comment. We will talk about comment later. So the comments mean that this code will not be displayed. So this code just display in the console. Great. So console.log mean display me in the console whatever here. So we have hello world. Okay, so I have hello world in the console here. Okay, if I type for example hello in the in the JavaScript course. I will save. So to save, you have to save the file. So to save, just click Ctrl+S in Windows, or you can Command+S in Mac. And this bubble, the white bubble here, just gone. If I make a change, he resides again. Okay, so I will save and go back to my page here. Okay, and I refresh to see the result, to see the new result. So I refresh and I have hello in the JavaScript course. Great. Okay, so now we will talk about variables. So what I mean by variables, I don't want to display this text directly. I want to create a variable and store this text inside it. So I will create a variable called whatever I want. So I will call it text, like that, without t, for example. And here I will make it equal to this text. So I will just copy and paste it here. And now I want to console log this text. So how can I do that? I have this reference. So the reference is referred to this value here. So if I click text, mean JavaScript will try to display this variable. He will know that is a variable. So he will search here for a variable that's called text, and he will find it and he will display the value. So I will save and go back to my page and click here to refresh the page. Go hello in the JavaScript course, the same result. If I change it, if I create a new variable, for example, I will name it var whatever I want. I will name it text2, for example. Okay, I can name the variables with a number, no problem. I can name it, for example, new variable, like that. And I have to close it with semicolon also here. Okay, and here I will display not the text1 but text2, and I will save and I will go back. Remember JavaScript, what we will do, we will say hey, display me the variable text2. JavaScript, he will try to find a variable with the reference text2. Oh, we have a variable text2. What is the value? New variable. Okay, so I will go back here and I will refresh and go back here. We have new variable because is the variable of this is the value of this variable. Okay, so now we will discuss what are the types of variables. So in JavaScript you have just to focus in two. We have this type of variable that we create so far. We call it string. String just like a text. Okay, but we have also a type of number. For example, I want to create var age equal to 20, for example. Okay, so I can create a variable like that. Okay, but I can't create a variable like that. For example, age equal to hello. What I mean by this variable, I will name this variable with a name of other variable. Okay, so we will discuss us later, don't worry. Okay, so now I will create a variable called 20, and here I will display this age. Okay, and I will save and go back and refresh, and I have 20, no problem. Okay, I will go back here. So now I will discuss something. What I want now, I want to create a variable that equal to another variable. Okay, for example, I will create a variable I will name it hello. Okay, this variable I want to equal to the same variable of this text here. So I don't have to copy and paste it here. I have just to type text. Okay, this is logic. Why? Because when I will create this variable will equal to this variable. So JavaScript will try to find a value for this variable. He will go to text and he will find this value. Okay, and now I can display the hello. Great. Okay, I have hello in the JavaScript course. Okay, because hello now equal to the text. Great. So now what I want to do, I want to create a value. I want to put a value here with two variables. For example, I want to type hello my name, okay, and I will create a variable here, name equal to Simo, for example. So I have to type it with var before the var, like that. And here I want to type hello my name is Simo, so I want to refer to this variable. So what I will do is I will concatenate. What I mean by concatenate is join two variables or two text, okay? So I would join with plus. I want to type hello my name plus the value of name, so I will type name. Great, this is logic. I want this value hello my name, so I will type my name is, and I will put just a space here, and plus name, so this name will be replaced by Simo here. So I will save and go back to my page, and don't forget to refresh, and I will go back here, and hello my name is Simo. Okay, I really advise to create more variables and create so much variables, and to use to this language. We will talk about if statements, condition in JavaScript. The concept is if we want to execute some code within a condition. For example, I have a variable equal to Joey, okay, this is a string like we saw in the video of variables. I want to execute some code just and only if this name equal to Joey. So I can do a condition. So I will open here a f condition, and here I will post name equal. So this is a comparison, not a declaration of a variable. In the declaration of a variable, we use just a single equal. But when we want to compare if this variable name, the reference, is equal to a value Joey here, this value I can post anything here. I want to display hello Joey. Otherwise, I want to console log hello I don't know you. So let's jump into our VS Code. So I will go to VS Code. So this is so far what we type. So I will delete all this, and I will create a variable name equal to Joey. Here I will check, I will do a if condition, and here I will check if the name equal to Joey. Great, I use double equal. Here I will open a block. So this code inside this block will be executed just if this name equal to Joey. So I will type here console.log hello Joey. Here I will put a else. If this true will execute that. If not, I will put a else console log hello I don't know you. Okay, the problem here, and I will put a semicolon, and I will save just by Control S and Windows or Command S and Mac. I will go back to my browser. So I will go back here and I will refresh. I will go to my inspector here, and I have hello Joey. Why? Because in my VS Code here I have the name equal to Joey. So now what the result if I change this Joey to just G, for example, and I will save and go back to my browser here, and I will refresh. So I will go back to Google Chrome, and I will refresh, and I will go to the inspector, and I have hello I don't know you. So we control what we want to execute. I will go back to show you another example. So here, if we don't post this else, this is not something necessary. Okay, so I can remove it, I can, but see what we have here. If I type console.log hello, this code will be executed whatever this value. Why? Because this is not inside the else. Okay, so when we put a else, I will go back. When we put a else, this code will be executed or this code will be executed. They can't just execute it both, okay, twice. So here I will show you another case when we need to a lot of cases. For example, I will put here I will create another variable. I will name it age. For example, I will put age 20. For example, and here I want if the age equal to 20, if the age less than 20, I will, for example, put you are a kid. If the age is between 20 and 30, I will put you are young. If the age between, for example, 60 and 90, you are old. For example, this is just to show you an example. So we can do here a lot of if state else. For example, I will show you we can do else if. When we have a lot of cases, we can use else if, and I will show you another reason to put a condition in the coming video when we use switch case. So else if, so I will create another example here. So if the age is more than, okay, greater than, okay, we put it like this, like the mathematical sign. If the age, for example, more than 20, more or equal than 20, for example, I will put here, we can put just log and he will complete console in the VS Code only. Console log you are young, for example. Else if, another condition, I will put it here. If the age less than 20, for example, this is just an example, I will put you are a kid, for example. And else if, I will not add another condition. If the age, for example, is greater than 60, I will put you are old. And I will add else, I will put console log this is not a valid age. So I will explain what I put here. I have the first condition. If the age is greater or equal than 20, you are young, okay? But this age greater or equal than 20, you are young. As if age equal less than 20, you are a kid. As if age greater than 60, you are old. And else this is not a valid age, okay? So we can put a multiple condition in this using if statements. To see the result, okay, we will see. So I will go back to my browser here. So I will refresh, and I will go to the console. You are young. Why? Because in the here we have the age equal to 20, and we have the condition age greater than or equal to 20. Now I will change it. I will put, for example, 70, like that. And I will save, and I will go back to my page, and I will refresh. I will go to the console. You are young. So what the problem that we have here? We didn't save, I think. So we have the 70. We put a condition here. We have the age greater than 20. Okay. So he will go. He will see if the age greater than 20. He will stop. He will not continue. 70 is greater than 20, okay, he will execute this code. So we have to put just if age, for example, equal to 20. Okay, so I will save. Now he will go to the 3 conditions, because he will not find that age equal to 20. He will go to this condition, age equal to 70 is not less than 20. He will go to this condition, is greater than 60. He will stop here and execute this code and go out. It will not continue. So this condition, this code will be executed just if this condition here, and this code will be executed just if this condition and this code not executed. Just focus a little bit. Okay, so I will go back to Google Chrome. I will refresh and I will open my inspector. I will go to the console. You are old. Okay, so this is if statements, very simple. Just practice what we have done so far and you will understand it. We'll talk about how we can get values from the users in our browser using some functions of JavaScript. So in our exercises, we need to get the value from the user to use functions, for example, and play with it and use condition. Okay, so the first thing, we have to use a built-in function. What I mean by built-in function is that functions that JavaScript provide us, like the console log that we saw so far, we give just a value here and we see the result in the console. Okay, in the console of the browser. Now I will show you the way how we can get the value from our users in the browser using this function called prompt. Okay, we will talk later about functions, don't worry, but just we need to know these two functions, just these two functions, and I will show you another function, very simple, to practice exercises, because in the coming video we will do a calculator using JavaScript and using the conditions that we saw in the previous video. Okay, so don't worry if you confused a little bit with these two functions, but we will talk a little later about functions. Now let's practice that. I have a variable called name, and this name equal to a function here, prompt, give me your name. So I will show you what that does in the reality. So I will go to my VS Code here. Okay, I don't have anything here, just my text script, and I close it here. So I will create a var. So I will just increase the size of the characters. So var name equal to prompt, like that, and here I will put a message. So give me your name, like that, for example. Okay, and here after I will save, Control S or Command S in Mac. I will save and I will go back to my browser, and here I will save. And now when I refresh, I get this this model, this block here that say to me, give me your name. Okay, so this is the way how we can get the values from a user. Okay, so give me your name. If I take, for example, Joey, and I click OK, now I will open the console. I have the console is here. I move it from the bottom to here, just to be a little bit clear. Okay, and here I will take the variable that we just entered, name, and I have Joey. Okay, I will refresh. Now I will not give Joey, for example, I will give Messi, for example, and here I will click OK. Here I will type name, and I have Messi. Okay, so now we don't work in our VS Code. We can get the values from the input from the user. Okay, so I will go back to my VS Code. I will create another variable. For example, I will type var age. Okay, and here I will type prompt. I want another value. Give me your age, and here I will console log. I will just type console log age, and I will save, and I will go back I will go back to my browser, and here I will refresh from here. Now give me your name. I will type Joey. Okay. And I have here another model because we execute the function twice. Give me your age. And I will type 20. Okay. I will type here what is the value name. So I have 20 already here. Why? Because so I will go back, because in my editor here I already gave console log age. I prompt the age. I will repeat. We use this function. We store whatever the user entered in the input in this variable. Now this variable equal to whatever the user entered. Okay, and here I will just display the age. So I will go back and show you just something here. When I type name, we have Joey. When I type age, I have 20, but I have 20 with this double cut. Okay, I don't want that. I want the 20 to be an integer. We will need it in the coming video. Okay, because we want to transform this to be a number. Why? I will show you. We can put a code here in the console. For example, I will put 2 plus 2. I have 4. 7 minus 4. I have 3. Okay, I can put a code here. I will create a var, for example, code equal to hello JavaScript. I can create a variable here, and I can create code. I have hello JavaScript. If I call this variable code, because I created in this line, I can call it here. Now I want to show you something. We have the variable age. Okay, I want the value age plus 2. I have I have 202. What's that? Age equal to 20. I don't want age plus 2 should be 22. Why? Because we have the variable here of type string. Okay, we talk about the types of variables just a little bit in the first video of variables, but you have to know so far just two types. In JavaScript, I talk about just string and numbers and integers. Now I have this 20, but I know inside it I have a integer. So how can I transform this value that is a string to an integer? I can use a built-in function in JavaScript. Don't worry, this is the last built-in function that we were gonna talk about before jumping into functions. Just we need that to practice some exercise in the coming video. Okay, so I have the age. I will just type it. I have this 20. This is a type string. Now I want the age to be not of type string. I will use a function called parse int. This function transforms a variable that contain a string that contain number inside it, not a variable, for example, like Joey inside it that doesn't contain a number, but a variable that contain number inside it, like 20, to a integer. Now if I type age, now I just change the variable age by parse int age. I transform the age to integer. Okay, if you confuse it with that, I will create another variable. I will call it, for example, h1. Okay, h1 equal to parse int age. And now I have just 20. I don't have this 20 of type string. Now if I call h1 plus 2, I have 22. Okay, so I will repeat. We have a variable of type string. I transform it to a variable of type int. Okay, so in this video we discover two things: how we can get the value from a user, an input of the user. This value will be always a string. Here I get it using here is a type string, here of type string. But I can use a JavaScript function to transform it to an integer. So if you have any question, any problem, if you confused in a part here, just ask me in the comments. I will be more than happy to help you. we will make a calculator using JavaScript. Okay, so the result that we want is the user will enter two numbers, and he will enter the operator, and we will give him the result. The first thing, I will type here a comment that we want, the requirement that we want. Okay, this is the best practice that you can learn in web development or in programming mainly. Okay, the first thing, we have to get two values. Okay, get two values mean two variables. Okay, I remember you, this code will not be executed. Why? Because this is a comment. Okay, when we type double slash here, this is a comment, will be not executed. The JavaScript will not consider it like a code. Okay, so get two values. Here we want to get the operator, and here we want to give back the result. So get two values and do some operations mean that we have to get it of type string. Get the two values and transform them. Remember from the last video, if we get the value will be a string, so we have to get it and transform it to integer. Okay, get the two values and transform on them to integers. Okay, to numbers. Okay, we call it integers. Now we will start, but by each one. Okay, the first thing, get two values. So I will create a variable called num1 equal to, remember the function prompt, give me the first value. Here I will put the number 2 equal to prompt, give me the second value. Remember, these two numbers will be of type string, so I have to transform it to integer. I can put two things. I can make, for example, num1 equal to parse int num1. Okay, like that. I transform the num1. Now the num1 equal to parse int num1. Okay, and now I will execute num2 parse int num2. Okay, and we will see just the result of what we type so far. I will go back to my browser. I will type here, give me the first value. I will type 20. Great. Give me the second value. I would type 50, for example. And I have a problem here. Parse int is not defined. I think I type parse int wrong. So this is the parse int. I know the problem. I type here C. I have to type S. Okay, now this will work. I will go back. Give me the first value 130. Okay, and if I type here value, I think I name it value num1. I have 20. num2 I have 13. Okay, now I will go back. Now we have to get also the operator. So the operator will be plus or minus, or we want to divide. So I will put it like that. I will put it to not confuse you, like that. Okay, and also we want the multiplication, so I will just like that. I will put it like that. Okay, so we have 5 operators that we're gonna work with. We want to make the sum of the two numbers, the first number minus the second number, or the first number divided by the second number, or we want to multiply the two numbers. Okay, so I will type here
var operator equal to prompt, give me the operator, the operation, for example. For example, this is just an example. Okay, now we have the operation. Now this is the hard part for you so far, how we can give the result. So now we will give the condition. Remember the if statements? So I will start. We will start by plus operator. So if operator, the operator is equal to plus. So if the operator equal to plus, what I want to do? I want to make, so I will create a variable result here. Result. I can create in JavaScript variable without give it a value, but I can go back and give them the value like that. Okay. Now I create a variable without a value. Okay. This variable doesn't have any value. Okay. We will talk about null of a variable later on. Okay. Now if I have the operator equal to plus, what I want to do, I want to make the sum of the two numbers. So the result will be num1 plus num2. So far we will test that so far to see the result. I don't like to type a lot of code and execute it in one time. Okay, so I will go back here. I will type 20, and here I will type 30, and here I will type the operation. Give me the operation. I will type plus like that, and I will click OK. And if I type here the result, I have 50. Okay, this is work. But now we don't want just one operation. I want the others operation. So else if, because we have a lot of conditions. Remember from the video of conditions. Okay, just I will make a space and I will go back here. Else if operator equal to minus, I will open a scope. This is, we call it a scope. This is the code will be executed just if this condition happen. Okay, so operator, what I want to do, simply I want the num1 minus the num2. Great. Now the result will be num1 minus the num2. Okay, I will do the same thing for others. For example, the operator equal to multiplication like that, or I will put it like x like that. I will put it like that. That's x. Okay, I want the result to be num1. So how we can do multiplication in programming? Okay, the plus is logic that I type here. Plus is normal like mathematics. Minus also is normal. But multiplication in programming, okay, we do it with a star. Okay, num1 multiplied by num2, and I will put a semicolon. Great. Now I put else if operator equal to what? To division, and I will put another block here. Okay, so now we have a problem, not in programming but in math. Okay, if you learn math before, if the number 2 is equal to 0, we cannot put 20 divided by 0. This is not a logic, this is not mathematics. Okay, if you don't understand that, just forget it. But in mathematics we can't divide by 0. Okay, this is the rule. Okay, so now we have to check inside this else if. Inside it I will put another condition. So if the number 2 that we will divide in, number 2 is not equal to 0, 0. Okay, and here I will open and I will make the result equal to num1 divided by num2. I will repeat, we can't divide by 0. If the num2 equal to 0, we can divide by it. And else, I would just console log if the num2 equal to 0. Please change the second value. It can't not be equal to 0. Okay, just like that. Don't be confused, this is the first time that we type so much code like that, but this is just a condition inside a condition. Okay, and this condition we just verify if this number 2 not equal to 0, and here I will put else. So if all this condition doesn't happen, okay, if all this condition didn't happen, I want to put a condition here. I will console.log. I will, if someone, for example, enter an operator in the operator, for example 5 or something, not in the plus or minus or x or divide or slash, I want to type this operator not valid. Okay, and great. Now we are done. And in the last line, I want to console.log the result. So if this operator happen, if this operator equal to plus, we will make the result equal to num1 plus in num2. If the operator is equal to minus, so it doesn't equal to plus, I want to make the result equal to num1 minus num2, and the result the same thing for multiplication, the same thing for division. And the division, just we check if the number 2 doesn't equal to 0, okay, because we can't divide by 0. And remember, here we transform the num2 and num1 and num2 to integer, because in the prompt, this prompt function just give us the numbers in the format of string, the format of text, like that, if you want to understand it with analogy. Okay, so I will save and go back, and we will see the result. So I have so I will just clear this console. Okay, so I will just clear this console, if I can clear it with a function. Okay, so I will refresh. So I have, give me the first value, I will make it 20, for example. Okay, give me the second value, I will give 5, and the operator I will give the minus, for example, so he should give us 15. Okay, we have give 15. I will refresh and I will test something else. I want the first value to be 50. Okay, and I will put the second value equal to 2, and here I will put the multiplication, so I will put x. Okay, and it should give us 100. Okay, because 50 multiplied by 2, it will give us 100. Okay, so this is work. Now we will test if we give 10 in the first value, 2 in the second value, and I would give the operation is division. Okay, we have 5. Great. Now I will type 10 and I will put the second value equal to 0, and the operation I will put division. And okay, please change the second value, it cannot be equal to 0. So great. If you understand that so far, I can say to you congratulations, because that will make you answer to the logic of programming. We will talk about increments and decrements in JavaScript. So a lot of tutorials doesn't care about this part of programming, but it's very, very important to understand that before jumping into talking about loops. So let's start by a first example. In the first example, I want to show you this E++ and what that means. If we have a variable, for example var I equal to 2 or 3, and we type a line E++, mean that we increase this number by 1. So this E++ is the same thing as I equal to I plus 1. Okay, and we have an example, var x equal to 5, so I create a variable of type integer, mean number equal to 5, and semicolon, mean another line of the code. X++ mean that x now equal to 6. Why? Because x++ mean x equal to x plus 1. Okay, So we'll make this quick example. So I will go to my VS Code. Remember this exercise from the last video, this calculator using JavaScript. I will create another file. So I'm in VS Code. If I just my mouse in this icon, I have new file. So I create new file. I will call it index2.html. Okay, and I will click enter. I have my index2.html completely empty. I will make my tag script. Okay, and here I will do my example. So let's go. I will start by creating a var x equal to 5, and here I will console. I will make another line, so I will just increase the size of the character, so x++, and here I will type console.log x here, semicolon, and I will save. I create a variable 5, and in this line I type x++, mean x equal to x plus 1. So I will just type as quick, x equal to x plus 1, and here I will just console log x, and I will save, and I will go to my folder when I have just index. Now I have index2. I will click, and I have complete empty file. I will click to inspect elements, console, and I have 6. Okay, the variable x now equals to 6, and we will go back to our presentation. The first example is easy. Now let's go to the second rule. The second rule, if we type console log x++, mean that we type 2 lines. Okay, this is mean typing 2 lines, because console log a++ mean we display the I, and we go and increase the I by 1, for example. Okay, so I will go and show you this example. I will repeat. If we type console log mean display me e++, mean I will console log I and go to the second line and type e equal to e plus 1. So I will go back to my editor. Okay, so now I will just delete. I will make a comment. So what's the problem here? Okay, so I will make a comment here and here. Okay, so now I will console.log x++, and like I said, this is mean 2 lines, mean display me x and make the x equal to x++. Okay, to see the result, I will make console after this line. I will make, so I will make this, I will name it line 1 plus, I will make just a little space, and here I will make console log here line 2 plus x. Okay, to see the result. Okay, and we will go back to our browser, and I will refresh, and I have, so what the problem here, just I will make a space here, so a little of space to see the result more clearly. So I will go back to my browser and here, and I will refresh. So the line 1 x equal to 5, and in the line 2 we have x equal to 6. So this line display x, so display 5 normal, but after he will increase the x equal by 1. So this line mean exactly console log x and make a semicolon and make x equal to x plus 1. Great. This line is the same thing as this line, just we have here this line 1. Okay, don't worry about it. Okay, and here now he display x, so he display 5, and after he go and increase the x by 1, so now x equal to 6, and here if he display x mean display 6, and this is the result that we have so far. we have in the first 5 and we have 6 in the second. Now we have the third case. Okay, in the third case we have console log plus plus I. This is the difference between I plus plus and plus plus I. Okay, plus plus I mean first increase the I by 1 and go after and display the I. So the difference between I plus plus and plus plus I, in the I plus plus we display the variable and after we increase it by 1. In the plus plus I we increase the variable by 1 and we display it after. And we will see the result very quick. Okay, so I will go back here. So what I will do is I will directly make console log. So what the problem here? Console log plus plus x, and I will save. Okay, so now he will, what he will do, he will increase the x by 1 and after he will display it. So I will make a command directly. So now x equal to x plus 1 and after he will make console log x. Okay, so I will save and go back to my browser and I will refresh and we have 6 directly. Okay, because he increased the number and go back and display it. Very simple, not and very confused if you don't give the interest into this rule. Okay, we will talk about another way of making condition in JavaScript, and this is the same way in C# or C++ or Java. Okay, this is the same case. Okay, PHP, the same case. So if you understand this, you will understand this in very much every language. Okay, so we know how we can do condition using if statements. So if I have a condition, I will do if and else if and else if until the last condition I will do else. Or if I have just one condition, I will type if and else. Okay, now this way of programming, if we have multiple choices, is preferred to use switch case. Okay, switch case is just the same thing like if else, but rather than making if and else if, we use case. Okay, so for example, I create a variable called name equal to Joey, and here I make this switch. Don't worry about the syntax. Switch name mean that I will check what is the value of the name. Okay, so in the first case I will see if the name equal to Joey, mean this is, in the switch case we just test the equal sign. Remember this. So case Joey mean if the name equal to Joey. This is the same thing like if the name equal to Joey. And if I type here console log hi Joey, so this is like if name equal to Joey. And I type this word break. Break mean go out from this, don't continue. Okay, because if I check this condition, I don't have, if name equal Joey, I don't have to continue here because this is the code of the other condition. Okay, so if I go here, mean in this case we have John, mean if the name equal to John, mean else if the name equal to John, I would type console log hi John, for example. Case Lizzie, if the name equal to Lizzie, the same thing. Else if the name equal to Lizzie, console log hi Lizzie, and we type break. This break mean if this condition realized, I type break mean go out from this code, don't continue. Okay, and we will see this word after we will jump into the loops in JavaScript. And this default is just like else, mean if this 3 condition doesn't realize, I want you to make this code. Mean console log I don't know you. Let's jump into the code and we will make this example. Okay, so I will delete this code from the last video. I will create var name equal to Joey. Great. Now I will make my switch case. So switch, and here I will type name. So we will test the values of name. We will see what's this name equal. So switch name, and here I will type case Joey. If the name equal to Joey, I will type here console log hi Joey, and here I will type break. Don't forget it, okay? Break. I will go to the next line. If the name doesn't equal to Joey, I will type another case. If the name equal to John, for example, I will type console log hi John. I will put another break. I can make the number of cases that I want. Break. Great. Here I will type another case, Joey John Lizzie, for example, and here I will type console log hi Lizzie. Great. And I will make a break to go out from this switch. And the default is if the name doesn't equal to these three values. Mean what I want to do, I want to type console log, for example, I don't know you. Very simple, very easy. Okay, I will save, and I will go back to my editor here, not here. I will go back to my editor, and I will save, and I have hi Joey. Okay, if I go back and I change the value of Joey and make it, for example, Lizzie. Okay, so now he should go here. He will not find that the name equal to Joey. He will go continue. He will not find that the name equal to Lizzie. He will continue. Here he will find that the name equal to Lizzie, and he will execute this code. Mean he will console log hi Lizzie, and he will go out from this code. He will not continue to execute what's here. Okay, so let's go back to our browser. I will refresh, and I didn't save. I think I forget to save. Yes, we have this bubble, this white bubble. Always remember to save your file. Control S or Command S in Mac. Okay, go back here, and we have hi Lizzie. Okay, a very simple concept, switch case. Okay, we will talk about loops. So loops are very important in programming, and this is, I think, the first step that a lot of beginners get confused. Okay, because the structure of loops is a little bit different to others concept. Okay, so loops are simply allow us to execute some code a number of times. For example, I have this simple example. Don't focus a lot in the syntax. We will talk a while about it. For example, I want to console log number 0, number 1, number 2. See this example in above. We have console log number plus 0, console log number plus 1, and console log number plus 2. If I want to make it using loops, I can make a for loop. Mean I make for var I equal to 0, I less than 3, mean the condition, and here I make I plus plus, console log number plus I. Don't worry, I will explain each part of this syntax. First, I will go, and remember this is the same thing of this code here. Okay, we will go back to this example, but now I want to understand the structure. The first thing I have for var I, this is I, okay, not, this is just in lowercase, uppercase, okay. This is for var I equal to 0, mean that I create a variable I and I initialize it to 0. Great. This is the condition of the execution of this code. Under this scope, I should be less than 3, and here I make I++. Remember the I++, okay? If you don't saw the video about I++ and I recommend to go back to watch it, okay? A++ mean that increase me the number, but remember we said we increase the I after execution of the code. So I will explain it. The first code that will be executed, just these 2 lines that we're gonna care about in the first execution, okay? We have the first execution is very important because we care about this first value. So in the first, we care just about this 2 syntax. We initialize a variable I equal to 0 and we check if this variable I less than 3. Great. And directly we execute the code. So like you type var I equal to 0 and you go to the next line and you type if I less than 3, I want to console log number plus I equal to what now? Equal to 0. Okay, so console log number plus 0. Great, this is the first execution. Remember, we care just about this 2 syntax. We initialize a variable equal to 0, we check if this I less than 3, and we execute the code. But in the second execution, what we're gonna see is we will go back from this line, from this E++, okay? So console log number plus 0 in the first execution, and I will go back from this E++, okay? This is why we call it loop, okay? We go from this E++, mean E++, remember, mean I equal to I plus 1, mean now I equal to 1, because I equal to 0 here, okay? And now I will not go back to var I equal to 0, but I will go back directly to the condition, okay? And I will check. Now in the second execution, I equal to 1. So the question, I is less than 3? Yes, because I equal to 1. So I will execute console log number plus 1. Great. And I will go back from the I++ again. Now I equal to I plus 1. I equal to 1. So I plus I now equal to 2. I will go back to the condition. 2 is less than 3? Yes. I will execute console log number plus 2. Great. Now I will go back from I plus again. I plus now is make I equal to 3. I will check the condition. 3 is less than 3? No. And then I will stop. I will not execute console log number plus 3. Okay? So this is the logic. This just repeats the video. But now I will show you an example and you will understand. There is code here. So I will delete all that, or the switch case from the last video. Okay? And I will make a loop here. So the first thing I will make for parentheses. The first thing that will be executed in the first execution, we have to create a var I equal to 0. Great. Now I will have to make the condition I less than 3, for example. And here I will make the condition that will be I will make the code that will be executed after the first condition, A++. Great. And now I will just console log for now I. Okay. So we will check in the first execution. So I will type here first execution I equal to 0, and I equal to 0 mean I less than 3. So we will make console log console.log 0, because I equal to 0. In the second execution, we make I++ before doing anything. So I++ mean I equal to 1 now. We will check if I less than 3. Yes, I equal to 1 less than 3. We will console log 1. The same thing, I will make A++. This is first. just in the first time that just in the first execution that we see this this first part. Okay, just in the first we will see e, now e equal to 2, e equal to 2 less than 3. Okay, so we will continue. We will execute console.log I mean console.log 2. Great. I will go back. I will make e plus plus and mean that e now equal to 2, e equal to 3, what means that e I equal to 3 less than 3. No. Okay, I will stop because I equal to 3, 3 is not less than 3, so stop. Now I will stop. This is the whole execution of this code. Okay, so we will save and we will see the result. I will go back here and I will refresh. I have 0, 1, 2. Now what I will do, I will go back. I wish that you understand that. If you have any problem, just ask me in the comments. This is the whole execution steps. Okay, now what I will do, I will change this I to equal less or equal to 3. And what do you think this will change? This will change just the last line, because here we will check if I less or equal to 3. Yes, 1 is less or equal to 3. Yes, 2 is less or equal to 3. Great. But now 3 not less of 3, but is equal to 3. So this line is true, because 3 is less or equal to 3, less than or equal to 3. So this code will be completed. Okay, so I will type console.log 3, and we will go back and we will continue a plus plus. Now a plus plus mean e I equal to, I just I said a lot of e because I have a good French. So I equal to 4, and here I equal to 4, here I equal to 4 mean that I less or equal to 3. No, so I will stop. Okay, so now I will display 0, 1, 2, 3, and I will save and I will go back browser and I will display I have 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, simple example to understand loops. In the coming video we will make some we will work a lot with arrays using for loops. So just think a little bit about it, repeat the video, and just always, while you are beginner, just make this steps like that to understand what your loop does. Okay, we'll do just a simple exercise about loops. So create a code that make a loop from 1 to 20 and display just the number greater than 10. Very easy loop. So we're gonna do this example. The output that should be in the result is 10, 11, 12 until 20. Okay, so we'll not display the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, VS Code here. So this is the code from the last video, and I will delete this code and I will increase the size of the screen. What I will do, the first thing, we have the loop starts from 1 to 20 like we have in the text. So from 1 to 20. Okay, so we have to make for the first execution. Remember, we will take the value in this I. You can name it what you want. I can name it M or S or anything. So var, for example, I equal to 1. We will not start from 0, from 1. And I less or equal to 20. Why? Because here we display also 20. Okay, we display also 20. And I will go back to my VS Code. So var I equal to 1, I less than 20, less than or equal to 20, and here I will make I++. If we just console log here, so I will just make console, not the problem, log, console, log I. So we will start from I, from 1 to 20, and we will display the I. Okay, so I will save, and I will go back to my browser, and I will refresh. So what I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 until 20. Okay, but in the text here I don't want 20, I don't want 1, 2, 3, I want just 10. So I have two things to do here. So the first thing, I have to check if the I is greater than 10, okay? Greater or equal than 10 before display it. This is just a simple condition. So here I will type a simple condition. So if I is greater than or equal than 10, I want to display. Otherwise, I don't have to put any else here, because otherwise it will not do nothing. Okay, so I will repeat. So we have this. We start from 1. The condition I should be always less than 20, and we start a++. Remember that in the first execution, we start from this variable. Okay, and we check the condition. So var I equal to 1. We go to and we execute. We see the condition. If I greater than or equal to 10, we display. Otherwise, we don't display. After we go from a++. So in the first execution, for example, so I will just show you a quick overview like we saw in the last video. So in the first execution, for example, I equal to 0, I less than 20, great. But after we check if I greater than 10, so I not greater than 10, so I will not execute this. Okay, good. In the second execution, before we forget that and we increase directly I, so I now equal to 2. So second execution, I equal to 2. I is less than okay, I is less than 20. Okay, so I will execute, but here I have another condition that will stop me I, because I not bigger than 10. And this third execution, this we forgot it just in the first execution. We don't see this anymore. Okay, we execute directly, we go back to this a++. So a++ means that I now equal to 3. Here I forget to put here I equal to 1 in the first execution. I equal to 3, and I is less than 20, but we stop because of the condition inside the code. And we go until we have 10. When we have 10, I will have I equal to 10. I equal to 10, great. So I can go and execute. Okay, and I is less than 20 also. And I is greater or equal to 10. So I will execute this code. I will go back. Okay, so a++. This a++, I would go back in. I don't see here what we have. Just when we enter in the first execution, always we go back from this a++. Always we increase the number. Okay. So we will see what we have done so far. So I will go back in my page, and I will refresh, and I have 10, 11 until 20. Another exercise about loops. Okay, so this is another very easy example of exercise about loops. So create a loop that displays the numbers from 1 to 20 in decreasing order. This is a little bit challenging for you, so we do just the loop from 1, how we can how we can increase the numbers. But here we will do another example, another case. Okay, so the output should be, we have to go from, we have the numbers from 1 to 20, but the output should be 20, 19 until 0. Okay, we can do it with a lot of ways, but I want to do with the case that I want to. So this is just the last exercise that we saw. So I will delete all this. So I will show you another way to do for loop. So for int, not int, for var I equal. So we have the numbers between 1 and 20, but we don't have to start from 0. I can start from the last number and go back in the decreasing order. So I want to show you. So we will start from 20. So while, and here the condition, I will not check if I less than 20. I will check if I is greater than 0, greater than 0. Okay, so I greater than 0, and here I will put I minus minus, not A plus plus. Okay, so I will do it like this, and I will put here a comment to do a comparison. Okay, so for A equal to 0, A less than 20, and I plus plus, and here I will put 1. Okay, I will just make it like that, just to see the difference. So in this loop, we start from in this loop, the loop that we know, we start from a number small, and we check the condition of the last number. For example, I have the number, I want the range from 1 to 100. I will put here A less than 100, for example, or this or equal to 100. Okay, and here we put A plus plus. So we will start from I, and we will go back to this S plus plus after the first execution, and we will continue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, but I don't be obliged to type here A plus plus. I can put A minus minus, mean that when we go to the first execution, we go to the minus minus. Okay, so I will show you. So I will just put this in the comments to make your comparison. Okay, here I want to console.log I. You know, in the first execution we see just these two parts, so I will make it clear like this, and like this. In the first execution we see just this part. We will start from I equal to 20. I is bigger than 0. Okay, I will go and execute. Okay, so I will start. In the first execution I have I equal to 20. Great, so I will display 20, and this 20 is bigger than 0. Okay, so I will execute display console log 20. Great, but here I will go back from here. I will forget this part, so now we play just with this part. Okay, I will go back from here, and I don't have here A plus plus to make 21 or 22. I have A minus minus, mean that I will decrease this number, mean that I now equal to 19. Okay, and in the second and third execution will be 18, and we will go on until 1, because here the condition I should be I bigger than 0. Okay, so I will save. This will be not executed because this is a command. We will put // this JavaScript will not see this command. Okay, we will not execute it. So I will save, and so we will see here. So I will refresh. So I have 20, 19, 18 until 1. We don't have 0, so I will make just a small change here. I don't want the condition I to be greater than 0. Also, I want to execute this code if I greater or equal to 0. So now I will go back and I will refresh. So we have from 20 to 0. We will talk about a new concept called arrays. So arrays basically is a way to store multiple values in one variable. For example, I want to store multiple data in a variable. Okay, we call it also like a table. Okay, so arrays also in JavaScript we can store different types of arrays. So I can store, for example, a number with a string. Okay, so we will see in the example. I have a very simple example. I have a variable called Joey. I name it Joey, for example, and we have the first value. We put square bracket to start an array. Okay, so this is an array. We put a square bracket, and here we put the numbers of value that we want. So I will put the first value, I will name it Joey. The second value, I would name it Tribiani. This is a string, this is a string, like a text, and this is a number. I put here 13. So this is an array, a very simple array in JavaScript, okay? So now, if I display Joey, this will be the type of array. I want, for example, to take the first value, for example. So the first concept that you have to take is the order of this element starts from 0, okay? So this is the element 0 of the array Joey. This is the element 1. This is the element 1, which starts from 0. This is the element 1 of the array Joey. This is the element 2 of the array Joey. Okay, so I will delete all this from the last video, or I will click to show you another how you can create another file, for example. So I will create here. You can name it anything, not index, for example. So I will type here, I will name it, for example, arrays.html. So I click here in this icon, new file, and I create arrays.html, and I will click HTML. So we put our script. I will, for people who wondering why I don't use HTML and CSS with JavaScript. So this course is for beginners and also for people who start learning programming for the first time, okay? So we will focus on JavaScript, okay? And HTML, I will make another playlist about HTML and CSS, and it's very easy, okay? So script, and I will close up my script. So this, you have just to put it, you don't have to understand it, okay? And here we put our code, okay? We name our file .html, and here we will put the script. So in the script, I will just make the console log, just a simple console log to see the result, hello world. And I will save, and I will go back to my folder that I named JavaScript in the first video. I have here index 2, and I have this array. So I will click twice, and I will open the console by clicking in the inspector. So I have infinite, so you should just click in the last element here. So console, we have hello world. Okay, we go to the console, hello world. Great. I will go back very quick to show you the example of arrays. So like we said, we will create a variable. I will call it Joey. This variable will be array. So to start a new array, we have to put square brackets. Great. And here I will put the values that I want, any values. For example, I will put here Joey. Here I will make a space, not necessary, just to organize the code. Okay, space. Okay, and here I will put Tribiani. Great, and here I will put 20 or 30, anything. Okay. So now what I want to do, I want to get the first value, for example. Okay. Remember, like what I said that we start from 0. This is the element 0 of the variable Joey, okay? So I will type console.log. Great, I want to display the variable what? The variable Joey is an array. And I want to display the first elements. So I want to display this name here. So I will put square brackets, and I will put here the number like that we talk about. So this is the element 0. So I will put 0. And we will see what we have. So I will put semicolon here for the good practice, and I will go back to my file, and I will refresh. You can click on F5 in Windows. I will refresh, and I have Joey. Great. So we get the first value of this array. So what I will do here, and I will concatenate with a space, and here I will put Joey, and I want to put the value, the second value. So the second value, we start from 0. This is the element 1. I will put 1, and I will save, and I will go back, and we have Joey Tribiani. Now I will put a more longer sentence. For example, hello, my name is. I will start from Joey 0 because I want the element 0. Also, I will put space to make it clear, and I will put Joey 1, the variable called Joey, and here I will make another space, and here I will put Joey 3. Now 2. We don't have an element 3. Okay, we have 3 elements, but this element is the we call it the element 2, number 2 in the array Joey. Okay, this is the element number 2. Okay, so I will go back and I will save. I will go back to my application here and I will save. And hello, my name is Joey Treviani, and continue with arrays, and we will talk about a very important property called length. So the array length is how many items we have in this array. For example, I have a first array that contains 3 elements, hello, good, and Ryan, just a random element. And also I have a second array that contains those elements. Okay, so the first array, the length of the first array will be 3 because we have 3 elements. The length of the second array will be 5 because we have 5 elements. So this is the example of the last video. So I will use console.log what. So I will just type here a string. So the length of the array of Joey, I will type of Joey is, and here I want the length of the array, but I want the name of the array first. What is the name of the array? We have here Joey, the name of the array. So I will type Joey, and here I will type dot length, like that, and with that we can get the name of the array. So I will go back to my browser and I will refresh very quick, and I will go to the console, and we have the length of Joey is 3. If I add another element, for example, I add here 15, 70, like that, and I save, I go back and I refresh. Now I have 5 elements. So very easy property. Just get this property gets us how many elements we have on our array. But this property is very important because we will use it to get the elements of the array using a loop. Okay, so now if I want to get the last element, so remember I start from 0. This is the number 1, the elements 1. This is the number 2, 3, and 4. Okay, we have 5 elements, but this we start from 0. Okay, so if I want to get the last element, I have 5 elements here. We start from 0, so I will just type here Joey, and here I will type 4 because here this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I will save and I will go back, refresh. I have 70 because this is the last element here. Okay, but I don't want to use this number anymore. Imagine that I have an array that contains 100 elements, and I don't want to count how many elements I have in this array to get the last element. So I can use the length. But remember, the length gets us how many numbers we have in this array. Okay, so in this case we have 5, but the last element is in the position 4. So I can use something like length minus 1 to get the position of the last element. Okay, so I will go here and I want here the position of the last element. So I can type here Joey dot length minus 1. I will repeat this Joey dot length minus 1. What the number that will get us? This Joey dot length minus 1. Joey dot length, it will get us 5 because this is the numbers of items in the array. But minus 1 will get us 4, and 4 is the position of the last element. So wow, we get the position of the last element. So Joey of 4 mean I will count 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I will get the last element. So we will test that. I will save and go back and refresh, and I have undefined. Okay, I have a problem here, so I type length wrong. Okay, so remember that notice that you have to type it correct. Okay, you have to type T after and after H. Okay, so I will refresh and I have 70. Okay, so just think a little bit about it, because it's very important to understand that in this step, because we will going to do a loop to get all the elements of this of the array, so you have to understand how this works. We will talk about the functions like we saw in the first video about arrays, the property length. Here we will use just a built-in function, okay, just allow us to add elements to the array. For example, I have an array that contains 3 elements, hello, good, and Ryan, for example. This is just a random 3 elements. And if I use the name of the array, that is R1, and I type dot push Yugi. So in JavaScript, this function, what we will do, it just will add this element to the array. Okay, so now the R1 array will equal to hello, good, Ryan, and Yugi. Okay, we add an element to the last of the array. Okay, so we add it in the last of the array. Here, so we will use the same example that we saw in the first video. So I have here Joey, Trabiani, 30, 50, and 70. This is a random elements. Okay, I want to add, for example, 100. Okay, so I have to use Joey because it's the name of the array. Okay, and I will type dot push like that, and here I can add the element that I want. So I will add, for example, 100 like this. This is a number, I can add it. I can go back to my browser, but before I want to display the array after. Okay, so console.log Joey, great. So I will just type, I will save and go back, and I will refresh, and I have this array. So I have Joey, Trabiani, 30, 50, 70, 100. Okay, contain six elements. Okay, so the 100 will be added to the last. Okay, so lots of people know these functions push, but what doesn't know is we can add a numbers of elements that we want. For example, I don't want just to add 100. I want to add 100. I want to add Chandler. And I want to add something good, for example, like this. So these 3 elements, I can add it using the push function in one time. Okay, so I can add 100, Chandler, and good in one time will be added to the last element. So we will see the result. So I will console log. Why I delete the console log? I don't know. So I will type here Joey. I will save and go back to my browser, and I will refresh, and now I have 100, Chandler, and good. So I can add the number of elements that I want. Okay, so also I want to show you something. That's Joey push. I can push any element to the array, but remember how many types we know so far of the variables. So we know the string, we say, for example, like that, hey, this is a string. We know the integer, we call it, so this is a number like 40 or 50, for example. And we know as a type, another type that we know is arrays. Arrays are numbers of elements. So the push functions, I can push a variable to the array. So I can push an array to the array. Okay, because array is a type of a variable. So I will go back here, and I don't want to push just this. I want, for example, to push to Joey another array. Okay, so I will push Joey, that's push. Here I want to push an array, so I can push it directly here like that, or I can create another variable. For example, I will call it Chandler equal, so I have to say var Chandler equal to, for example, Chandler, and here 40, just a random variable. Okay, this is an array, so I can push it to the Joey. So Joey now we will contain some variables, and we will contain a variable of type array. So I will type Chandler, and I will save and go back, And now I will go to console log Joey. Okay, and I will save and go back to my browser and refresh. And I have here Joey, Sarabiani, 3T, all these elements, but I have here something. In the last elements, I have an array. And if I click, I have here all the elements. I have Joey in the position 0, remember, Sarabiani in 1, 30, 100. And in the position 6, I have Chandler, 7 in good. And I have in each, I have a variable of type array. I have Chandler and 40, okay? If you want to see the last, just the last elements, I will type Joey. I want to see the last elements. To see the last elements, we can use the property length. So Joey dot length -1, and this is should be give us the last elements, but the last elements is an array. Okay. We will talk about how we can loop through an array. Okay. So loops allow us to get each element of an array. So let's start by an example. Okay. For example, I have this array that contains 3 elements, hello, good, and Ryan. Okay. And I want to get each element of the 3. Okay. But I know that if I want to get the elements that contain hello, I would type R1 square bracket 0. If I want to get good, I would type R1 1. But imagine that I have an array that contains 100 elements, for example, okay? And I want to get 8 elements and displays, okay? So I can do it just with console log 1, console log R2, console log R13, for example. This will be very, very long and not practical, okay? So I can use the loop. Remember, I can use a loop that starts, for example, from 1, but I want to be end in the last of the array. So what is the last elements? Remember, what is the last elements? We can use the property that we saw in the before the last video, the property length. Okay, so we can use for var I starts from 0. We know that the first elements will be in the position 0, and I will be less than R1 dot length, because the last elements will be before the R1 dot length. For example, in this array, we have how much elements? We have 3. I want the loop to start from 0 to 2, because 3 is not less than R1 dot length. Okay, so I want the loop to start from 0 to 2. So we will display for me console log R1 0. In the second execution, console.log R1.1, and the third execution will be console.log R1 2, and will stop because I will be 3. If you don't understand loops very well, just go back to the video that I talk about loops. Okay, so this is the example of the last video. So I will create another file, for example, for this. From time to time, I will create some other files. So I will type here, for example, arrays, or I will type loops arrays, like that. And I will type jar.html script. Like always, I said you don't have to understand it from now, because I will make another playlist about HTML and CSS, and it should be very easy for you. So I will type here script, and here loops arrays HTML, and here I want to create a very simple array, so I will name it R1 contain just a random element. So good, here I will type 14, here 17, and here hello, and here I will type word. We say that you can create an array that contain different types of variables. Okay, so I will put here semicolon. Great. So var R1 good 40 70 hello world. Now I want to get I want to get all the elements. The first thing I will just remember you, I will console log, just log the first element will be plus r1. I want the name of the array, position 0. Okay, and I will add a space, and the last elements is, and here remember, if I want to get the last elements, I will type r1 dot the property length that gets us r1, and here the position. I want the position r1 dot length, so the number of elements minus 1 to get the last element, and I will save just to show you that I can get the first and the last very quick. So I will refresh. This is not the file that I want, so I will go back here and I will click loops.array here, and I will click in the inspector here, and this the console. So the first element good and the last element is undefined. We have a problem, and I know the problem. I type length with h before t, but t after before h. Okay, so I will refresh, and I have the first element good and the last element is word. Great. Okay, so I can get the first element good and the last element word. So I can do a loop that starts from 0 to the last element that's here and display each item. Great. Okay, so I will go back to show you. So I want a loop that starts from a var I, for example, equal to 0, and I less than, I can't type less than or equal because I want to equal to r1, the last element length minus 1, or I can just type here without equal. Okay, so we'll go to the elements before this r1 dot length, and here I will type I plus plus. Again, if you continue having problem with loops, I recommend that you go back to my loops video. I explain very well loops. Okay, so I will go back here and I will display each item. So I will type console.log what's, I will to console.log r1, yes, and the position I, and each execution this I will be another number, a different number. So I will go back here and I will refresh, and I have good 40, 70, hello, and word. So we display each element. Okay, if I want to know the position of each element, so I will go here and I will type I will make a space and I will type here I to see the position of elements. So I will go, because I represent the position of elements. Each element I start from 0 to the r1 that length minus 1, because this I is less than. Okay, so I will refresh. Oh, I have a problem here, very quick. So what is the problem? I forgot to post here plus because we concatenate. Okay, I will refresh and I have the God in position 0, 40 in the position 1, and the word in the position 4, like we saw. Okay, create an array from another array. The array, mean the first, should contain just the positive numbers from the second array. Okay, so we will see the output how it should look. So we have our first array, for example, we have 5 minus 1, 87, minus 44, 77. Okay, so this is contain also the negative numbers, 5 minus 1 minus 45, but the array 2 contain just the positive, so contain 5, contain 87, and contain 77. It doesn't contain 5 and it doesn't contain minus 1 and minus 45. So very simple, very simple exercise. So I will go to my VS Code. So here we have just an empty file. Just I name it array exercise1.html. Okay, very simple, very empty file. So I will create an R1. So I will name it, for example, so I will R1. I will give it 50 minus 7 like that. 4, 10, for example, 8 minus 7 and minus 80, for example, just to random numbers, and here I will create a var r2, but this r2 will be in the first empty. Okay, so the objective now is to get each element and see if this element is positive. We will push it to the array2. Remember the function push that we talked about in the previous videos. Okay, and we will push the element to this array2. But first I want to get each element. How we can get each element of array? We use a loop. Remember, if you still have problem with loops, just go back to the last video. So for var I equal to 0, I, so I will make it clear, less than, so we want the I to start from 0 to the length of the array1. Remember the property length? Okay, so r1 dot length, like that, and I will type I plus plus. Here, what I will do, I want the elements, the current elements in the array, I want to push it to the array2. So I will type r2 dot push, mean push like that, mean add the element that I will give here to this array. So it's emptied in the first, but I want to add the element to this array. So I want to add r1 dot I, and the first of the loop will be r0. r0 is 15, so we'll add it to the r2, and the I equal to 2 will be -7. I will add it to the r2. Okay, but with this code here, I will push each elements. I don't want to push each elements. I want to add just the elements that are greater than 0. So I will make a condition to execute this code. So I will type here if ri is greater than 0, and I want to put the code inside. Okay, so I will push the element just if we have this condition. So great, and here I want to go back to my page and I will refresh. So r is not defined. Great, so I type it incorrect here. Here we have r1. Okay, so I will save and go back and refresh. So we have nothing because we didn't console log anything. So I will type, so I will just make the console here. So I will type r1 to see what's equal. So the r1 still equal to 50 minus 7 minus 80. So the same array that we have here. But for r2 we have 50, 4, 10, 8. Okay, he could change just the positive numbers. It's just the positive numbers from this array. Okay, it doesn't contain minus 80, minus 7, and minus 7, and another minus 7. I put it here. Okay, just the positive numbers. So create an array from another array, but the first array contain the reverse elements of the second. Okay, using just looped without an exist function, because we will talk about built-in functions in like push, for example, but some functions that make the things very easier. But I want you to increase your skills in programming and just use just loops. Okay, so the input, for example, the output will be if we have the array1 equal to hello world 5, 10, stay, save, for example. So the array2 should equal to the reverse of the first, so should equal to save, stay, so the last will be the first, stay will be here, 10, 5, word, hello, the first will be the last. Okay, so I will go to my VS Code. So try to practice this exercise before seeing the solution. Okay, so I will go to my VS Code. So this is the exercise from the last video. So I will create another file very quick. So array x2.html. Great, and I will just make this disappear. So script. So I will just close this. Great, and now what I will put, I want to create the first array. So var r1 equal to, for example, 5, 10, hello world, and stay safe. For example, a random element, stay safe, for example. Okay, great. So now I will create the array2 will be empty, r2 will be empty. Okay, so now I want to get each element of this array and add it to this array, but I want to start from this element. Okay, so this is the trick. I want to start from this element. I don't want to add the first element to the array, because remember, the push function just make the element add it to the last. So if I add 5 in the first and I add 10 in the first, will be here 5, 10. So this will be not in the reverse order. But imagine that I loop through in the reverse order. Remember the video that we do a loop in the reverse order? Just go back to see it if you don't see it. So we can do a loop that starts from save and go to the 5. Okay, so the first thing I will start var I equals, so remember the loop in the reverse order will start from the last position. So I will start from r1 dot length but -1, because we will start from this position here. Okay, so this is the position of r1 dot length -1. Remember the video, I do a whole video about this, okay, about the last element. So here var I equal to r1 dot length -1. Here I will put the condition. The condition I should be greater or equal than 0. Great. And here I want the I to be minus. So the I will start from this position. For example, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Great. We start from 0, so we have just 5. So we'll start from 5. So 6 minus 1 is, we will start from 5. And it will go back to 1, 2, 4, 3. Okay. And here I want to push the r2 dot push. So push what? I want to push what? I want to push r1 dot I. Great. So if I add the last elements in the first execution, so the before last element will be in the second execution, and we will obtain the reverse of this array. So I will save and go back to my, I will go back and execute this file. So I will close this this console. I will open another. Okay, what the problem? And I have my console. So I will go back here just to see. So I will go back here and see the console. So I will go to the console, and I have a problem here. Unexpected token. I know the problem. So this should be here semicolon. Okay, so I will save, go back very quick and refresh. Okay, and resize that to see our arrays. So I will see the first array very quick. So we have the same element that we have here, 5, 10, hello world, stay safe. Great. Now I will see the r2. We have no element here. So what the problem? So I will see. So I is greater than 0. We start from I equal to array length -1. So what the problem here? So I will just space that to see. And r2, I push the r1 dot I. So I think the code is very logic. Length -1 and here a minus. Great. So I will go back to see what the problem. So I can test this. I will see if the code go to this enter to this loop. So I will just console log here, console.log hello, to see if we go to this line, if the JavaScript execute and obtain this line. So I will just refresh very quick and see I have a right to waiting. I don't have a hello. So I will refresh and go here and open another inspector and open console, and we didn't have anything here. Okay, so we will make this console here to see if we have any error. So I will save and go back and refresh. This is good that happened with us in the video. So I will show you how you can handle errors. So we have hello, so we know that we don't have any problem in this code, but we have a problem in our loop here. So var I equal to r1 that length minus 1, great, and I should be greater than 0. Okay, so I minus minus, no problem here. But what I will do, I will not start from I1 dot length. I know the problem. I type length wrong, so I will type it like that. Okay, so I will save, and now we should have any problem. Okay, so if I type R1, great. If I type R2, I have the reverse of the first array. So I have save, that was be in the last, will be in the first, stay in the second, word, and the 5 will be in the last. Okay, we'll talk about one of the important concepts in programming called functions. So this is just a simple definition. A function corresponds to a named and reusable block of code whose purpose is to perform a specific task. Okay, so let's see just a very basic examples. The structure of function. For example, we have instruction 1, instruction 2, instruction 3. This instruction means that we have, for example, console log hello, or we have a loop in the instruction 2, or we have just a part of the code. We can create a function that do all this code, and we can call it after. Okay, so don't worry, we will go to an example like we use it to. So I will show you the process to use a function. So the first thing, you have to create the function. So for example, we create a function that's called display. He should just console log hello and console log good time. Here I type console log hello and console log good time to show you that I can create it without the functions. But imagine that I want to use this code, this two simple lines, console log hello and console log good time, in any part of the code. Okay, so I have to copy and paste it each time. So we can use a function and call it each time we want. So I create the function. The way how we can create a function, we type the word function, and here we give the name. I give it, for example, display. Okay, and here we type parentheses. Okay, parentheses. We will talk about arguments of function in the coming video. And here we put inside the scope the code that we want to execute. And after, don't forget to call the function. Okay, we call it like that. We have this display and we call it like the display. So I will show you very quick an example. So I will go to my VS Code here. So this is just the exercise for the last video. So I will create another file. So I will call it functions. I will name it functions, for example, 1.html. And here I will type script. And I will increase just the size, and I will hide this file. And here, what I want to do, I want to create a function, for example, that display me hello world, for example. Very simple function. So I will type here function. I will name it, for example, I will name it hi. I have to right to name it anything. Here I will just put parentheses, nothing outside. We will talk about arguments in the coming video. And here I will open my scope here. So this function, what it does, it just console log hello world. Okay, and I will save. I will go back to my folder here. So I have functions. I will click to open it. So I will click in the inspector to see the result, and I don't have any result. Why? Because I create the function but I didn't call it. So I will go back to my editor. We say that the first thing we have to create the function. The second thing we have to call it. So I want to call it here. Okay. So I will call it here. So I will call the function. So I will just call it by its name. Here we have hi, and I will type hi, and I will type parentheses, and I will save, and I will go back here. So I will go back to my VS Code here, and I will refresh. I will click in the inspector very quick, and I have hello world here. Okay. So the function, I can use it in any part of the code. For example, I will go here, and I want to display this. I want to use this function 3 times, for example, inside the loop. So I will just make this for var I equal to 0, I less than 3, for example, and I plus plus. I can call these functions. So what I did here is just I use this function, I call it inside this loop. So it just will go and copy this code and put it here. This is the logic that you have to understand for now. So we have just called this function hi. So JavaScript will go and search for something called hi. Hey, we have hi. So I will execute all the scope that I have here. I can add, for example, console log, good time, or anything. Okay. So I will go and I save. So I will go to my here, and I will refresh. I can refresh here, and I have hello, good time, hello, good time, hello, good time. It just like I take this code and I put it here. So this will execute 3 times because we have the loop start from 0 to 2. Okay. So that is so far what you have to understand. We can use function to just make the code. We can use it in any time we want. I can do another loop here, and I type hi, for example, and I can use it. Okay. We'll talk about a concept that confuses a lot of beginners called the return keyword. So the return, basically, if we have a function that does a lot of manipulation and we want this function to remember a value in the end. So I will show you. So we have this very simple function that do the sum of the 2 numbers passing in the argument. Okay. If you don't understand what are arguments, go back to the last video. So var c equal to a plus b. Okay. And here we type the keyword return. So this is a keyword for JavaScript, return C. So this variable in the end will be what the function will remember in the end. So these functions will be in the end equal to this variable. So I will show you a very simple example. So I will go to my editor. Here I just create another file called functions2.html, and I will hide it. Okay. So like this, and I will create a function called sum, for example, and here I will give a and b like a variables, and here I will create a variable called c equal to a plus b semicolon, and here I want this function to remember return c. Why I do this? Remember in the previous examples, if I go to the file of the previous video, here in the function, in each function here, I just use the function console log. Okay, but not always we will use this console log. Okay, this console log just to show what this result will be in the console, but we will not just always use this console log. Okay, so I need a way to remember the result. For example, this function sum. If I go back here and I just create those variables, so I run this function, I execute this function. So I will, with the good practice, I will make here create the function create the function, and here we call it, always call the function, just to make the things very organized a little bit. So I type this return keyword to remember the number C. What I was saying is, just if we create the variable and we will do anything, we have no way to access to this variable, okay, inside the sum function. Okay, I will show you. I will just delete this and execute this function. So sum, and I will save and go back to my browser, and I create another file. So I will go to the function2 file, and here I will refresh, and I will close this inspector for the last video. I will open the console again. I don't have nothing, okay, I didn't have anything, and here I have to give two numbers, so 14, 15, okay, remember. Okay, so I will go back, and I don't have any result. Why? I create here a variable inside the function, so I don't have any access to this variable inside. So if I type this is one of the advanced concept, the scope local and global, but I will type here console to show you. Console log say, okay, so I create a variable, but this variable is inside the function. I will see if I can access to it. So I type here console log C. I have a variable C here equal to A plus B. Okay, so I will save and go back and refresh, and I have an error here. C is not defined. C is not defined means that JavaScript doesn't recognize any variable called here C, but we have a variable called C here. This variable is inside the function, okay? I can just display it inside the function, like we saw in the previous videos. When I type here name and age, or here I type R equal to B plus C, I can access to this R because I'm inside the function, but outside I can't, okay? This is what you have to understand so far. Okay, so how can I access to this variable C? The only solution that I can do is I can go and return C like this with the word. So what I do with the word return. So now this function will remember this C. But to access this variable we can access it using the name of the function. I will show you. So this sum function, what we have C. So I will just type it. The function sum, remember the variable C, and we don't have to forget that is equal to us plus b, I plus b. Okay, so now this function will be equal to the C, so I can type actually console.log sum like this, and I will save and go back, and I refresh and I go back, and I have C is not defined because I have a error here. Okay, this is another concept on JavaScript. If this line make a error, this line will be not executed. Okay, so I will delete this line because we don't have a variable C. So I will go back and refresh, and I have here 90, okay, because the sum of 40 and 50. So the function now is equal to this variable in the end, okay? So for example here, I add a variable C, a variable D equal to C plus 1. What should happen? Actually, nothing will change because the function is remember just C. He don't care about this variable. You do anything here and the function will not care about what we have here. But if I can change the variable C to be equal to C plus 1, now I change the variable of C and the function remembers C, so he care about just C. So I can go back here, and if I refresh I have 91. Okay, so this C is a variable, okay, so will be equal to the function like we saw. So I can actually store it in a variable. So I will name variable, for example, result equal to sum 10, 20, and here I can console log the result, and we are done. So I will go back here. It should give me 10 plus 20, 30 plus 1, 21. Refresh, go back, 31. Okay. We'll talk about two very simple concepts in programming called break and continue. So break is very simple. We use break just when we want to stop a loop using a condition. So I will show you an example here. So I have a loop that starts from 0 to 10, and here I say if I equal to 5, break. And here I have just a simple code, console log I. So what I mean by that is just the loop will start from 0, will execute this code, will go to this condition if I equal to 5. So I in the first execution will be equal to 0. We will see, we will not get into this condition, and we will execute console log I. The same thing for the second execution, but in the when I equal to 5, I will make break. Mean that I will stop this loop. I will not continue to 10. Okay. So we'll see this example. So I will go very quick to my editor. So I have here so I will show you here. I have just an empty file called break continue.html with the script tag, okay, like we use it to. And here I will start. I will create a loop. So var I equal to 0, I less than 10, and I plus plus. Okay, I start from 0 to 10. Not something new. Okay, so the first thing I will console log I. Okay, just to see the result. So here I have the folder. So I will show you. I will open the folder very quick of JavaScript. I will go to my desktop very quick, and I have here the break continue. I will click twice, and then I will click in the inspector to see the result. In the console I have here from 0 to 10 to 9. Okay, nothing new. I will go back to my editor. So I will go back to my editor, not here. So here what I want to do, I want when I equal to 5, I want to stop this loop. I don't want to continue to execute 6 and to print here 6 and 7 and 8. Okay, so console log, not console log, I will break. So I will use the keyword break, semicolon, and I will save. And now we will see the result, because when we go when I equal to 5, I will stop this loop. Mean this code after this code, this loop will be stopped. Nothing of this code will be executed after this I equal to 5. Okay, if we have a code that will be executed in 6 or 7 or 9 or okay, if we have 100 here, will be not executed because in 5 we will stop this loop. So I will go back to my browser, and I will click the inspector, and I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so even I have here 100 will be not in the 5 we stop the loop. So I will go back to my presentation very quick. So now this concept is very simple. We will practice that in the exercises. Now I will go to another concept that's a little bit confused beginners. Okay, the continue keyword. The continue used when we want that a code inside the loop will be not executed according to a condition. Okay, so this is not a little bit clear. We will see an example. So for example, I have this code for var I equal to 0, I less than 10, I plus plus. In this condition, I say if I less than 5, continue, and I have a simple console log that continue means, hey, if I less than 5, don't execute this code, continue the loop. Okay, I will repeat. If I have this continue here and the condition realized, I say, hey, don't execute what's after, just continue the loop. So we will go to and see an example. So I will go to my VS Code here. So here I will go back to 5, and here I will say if I less than 5, I will make the word continue. Make sure that you spell it okay. Right? Okay, I have continue. So I say, hey, if I less than 5, continue. Don't execute this code here in the line 8 of anything that we have here after. Don't execute it. Go back and increase the I. Okay? So we will see the result. So I will go back to my editor, to my browser, and I will click in the inspector, and I have nothing. So we have an error, kind of. So not an error, I forget to save. I will save. So I will go back here very quick, and I will click in the inspector, and I have the console, and I have a problem here. So I don't know when. So I have this console log var I equal to 0, I less than 5, and I plus plus. And I have this word continue. And so you have to put here 10, okay? So I will go back to my browser very quick, and the inspector, and I have 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Why? Because before 5, if I less than 5, I type here continue, means don't execute this code here. Okay? Just continue the loop. And after when, so I will type it, when, so I will make a comment, when I equal or greater than 5, execute the following code. Execute the code just after here, okay? Just after the line 7, okay? Because if I type here console log, for example here, before, for example, this code will be executed anyway, because we start from this code, we don't care about this f. But here, we care about, when we go through this condition, we stop the loop. Not we stop the loop, but we say, hey, increase the I, don't execute this code. This code will be executed just if this condition doesn't realize, because we have this continue means increase the I, okay? So this is a simple concept just to practice. We'll talk about a new exercise of the level easy. We are just practice the basics so far. So now we will practice the concept of functions. So we create another calculator. We create a first calculator, if you remember, using just the user input and to practice if statements and condition. In this video, we'll discover how we can make functions and a very simple calculator using functions and if statements also, okay? So let's jump into the text of the exercise. Create a calculator using the user input. So remember how we can get the user input using the prompt function of the browser, and create for function that do the addition of two numbers, division and multiplication of two numbers. So I will jump into my editor here very quick. I will create a new file. So I will click here new file, and I will create here function x function, for example 1, because we will create a lot of we'll practice a lot of exercises. So that's HTML. I will make a script tag here, script. So I will make the slash here script, and here I will increase the size and hide these files from here. Okay, so I have the script, so I will just make a very simple console.log hello. Okay, and I will save, and I will go to search my folder here in the desktop in JavaScript, and I have here what x function. I will click twice, and I will click in the inspector, and I will what's happened here. So I will make the console, and I have hello here in the console. Okay, so the first thing what we want to get the two values of the user. Okay, so I will make here val1 value 1 equal to, and I will use the function prompt, to make the input in the browser. Okay, so prompt, and here enter the first value. Good. Here I will make the var val2. Okay, this is just the same like the previous exercise of the calculator. So enter the second value. Great. And if you remember well, we want the operator, because I want, if I want to add the number 2 to the number 1, or I want to multiplicate, or okay. So var operator or operation equal to prompt enter the operation. Great. And here I will put a semicolon. So now what I want to do, I want to create the function for each operation. Okay, so the first operation that we could have is the addition. So I will create a function. Remember how we can create a function add. Okay, and the add function also receives 2 arguments, because we want to add 2 values to each other. Okay, so I will make here x plus y, or I will make here a b, and here inside I will create a variable result equal to I plus b, semicolon. But like that, this function will just create a variable inside it, and when we will call it, she will do nothing. Okay, it will do nothing. So we have to remember the result. So return result. Remember from the last video of return keyword, and I will do the same thing for the multiplication. I wish that I spell it okay. So function multi. Always, if you have an exercise or you have the requirement, just see the same word here. Okay. So I will go back very quick. Multi that have a and b also. Takes 2 arguments. Okay. She takes 2 arguments, and here I will type here var result. I create a variable inside the result, inside the scope here. This is not the same result in here. Okay, remember, just go, if you are still confusing, just go to the 3 videos that I create about function. Okay, so result equal to I multiplied by b, and here we return the result. Great. The same thing, so I will just make a copy of this and paste this here. So I think the operation now is the difference. I'm not sure that we call it like that. So I will make here def, and here the result will be a minus b. Great. Okay, I will pass another. We have to make the function of division, and here I will call it dev. And here we want to remember one thing. Remember that in the division we have something. If the number b equal to 0, we can't divide by a 0. Okay, this is just a rule in mathematics. In math we can divide a number by 0. Okay, so here I have to check something. So I have to check if the b equal to 0. Okay, if the b equal to 0, I will make the result. So I will create a variable result. So I will just show you the best practice that you can learn. So I create a variable result without any value here. Okay, so here I make a condition if b equal to 0. So I will make the result equal to a message instead of a value. Hey, or you can't give the second value. You can't make the second value equal to 0. Okay, very simple message. And else, now if the b doesn't equal to 0, I don't have any problem. So I will make the result equal to I divided by b. And here in the end, always in the end, you have to return your result. Otherwise It's just we create the variables here and the function will do nothing. Okay, so we have to return the result. The function, if we don't use return, means that these functions modify something of the variables that exist here. Modify operation, or modify the value. We modify the variables or the functions that we have here. But here we just create new variables. So if we don't return something here, it's just we waste time. Okay. So now I create the force functions. So now I can use it. I can call them. So the first thing I have to check if the operation equal to plus. What I will execute? I will execute the add. Okay, so remember how we can execute the function? We call it like that, add. And the first value will be, forget the name of the argument. Okay, here we want the val1 and the val2. Okay, if you have any problem, I know that you are beginners. If you have any problem to understand the structure or how this works, just ask me. I will be more than happy to help you. So I will type here val1 and val2. Great. And I will just put add, and else if the operation equal to minus, I will make def, and I will give the same value that the user entered, val1 and val2. Great. And else if the operation equal to multiplication, I will type here mol val1 and val2. You have to respect the order. Okay, so else if for the multiplication is okay, but for the division we have to check the second value. So we have to take attention of that. So I will type here dev I think val1 and val2. Great. So now I execute the force functions that will return the value of the result here. Each function return a value here. Okay, so what I will do with that, I do nothing, because this function remember a value. Okay, remember a value, so I have to set it to a variable. Okay, so I will create here. So I will create here a variable called, for example, result. It's okay, because this variable is defined in the local, so I will just decrease the size to see a little bit all the code. Okay, so now what I will do, I will set the result to each of this variable. So the result equal here result, so I will make here result, and the multiplication here result, and here result. Okay, and remember that I don't put here else in the else, just else, not else if, because the user maybe he entered the operation A or B or C, so we have to check if he entered the valid operation. So here I will type, for example, console, or I will type the result here, result equal, hey, enter the valid operation, like that. And in the end, I will console.log result. Okay, so I will just give a quick review here. So we create three variables: val1, val2, val operation. So this is just the same thing like we did in the exercise about a condition, the first exercise. Here I create force functions, a function that just make the addition of two numbers and return the result, a function that make the multiplication, a function that make the division, and function make the difference. Okay, great. Each function remember the result. Okay, now I create here a variable the result without any value. Here I say if the operation that the user enter here, we have the variable operation here. Okay, if the operation equal to plus, I want the result to be add val1, val2. Remember the return keyword will make this add. It's the same thing like we make val the result equal to val1 plus val2. Remember that this is a comment will be not executed. Okay, so now let's save and execute that. Okay, so I will go back to my browser, if I refresh, I have entered the first value 10, okay, 15, okay, plus, I want the plus, okay, and I should have the console here. We have 10, 15. Okay, I know the problem here. I guess you know it if you follow all the videos. So here I type 10 and I type 15, and he concatenates the two numbers like a string. Okay, so the type of these variables are string. We will see the built-in function to see what is the type of our variable, but the variables are string. Okay, so I remember you that when the user enter a value in this input, this will be always a string. Okay, while we type in here 10 or 15 is the same thing, like we type Joey, for example, is the same thing, will be a string. Okay, so what we have to do, I have here the variables here, the variables prompt, enter the first value, enter the second value. I have to transform it. Okay, so to transform it we use a something called, for example, I will show you here in the console. So if I create a variable I equal to 5, okay, what's the problem? So I will go back to my browser, because I have the here, so I will make 5 here. Okay, just to show you something. So I have a variable, so I will just refresh and I will create a console. So I will create a variable and I answer the valid operation. Okay, so I will create a variable a. This is just to remember you, because we did that in the previous exercise. 5. So if I type I have 5, but this is a string. I want 5 and I want this variable to be a integer. So I will type I equal to I dot parse, or I will type parse int, and I will give it I, and now I equal to 5. So actually we have to transform these two strings, will be a strings, to numbers, so we can do the operation. So I will type here parse int. We will talk a lot about the built-in function. Don't worry about this function parse int. Also, we will see the built-in function to see the type of a variable. If you are not sure what the type of variables, so you can just give the variable and he will say if it's string or integers. Okay, so I will just go back here and I will type 10, okay, 15, and I want the operation plus, and I should see the result here, 25. If I refresh, if I test the division, I want 10 and 5, and I want the division, so I should get 2. Okay, so this is great. You can test the other operation. We'll talk about one of the important concepts in JavaScript, and it is so much used in web developments and so JSON is JavaScript object notation, is used to store multiple values of data using key and values, not index-less array. Okay, so this is just the theory. We will see an example. I have just an example here of how we can create a JSON object. So JSON is another type of variables. Okay, it's like arrays and strings and integers. So to create JSON, we put curly braces and we put each key with the value. Okay, so we will see an example. So in this video, I want to introduce you to how we can use an editor online. Okay, I think you noticed that working with the console of Chrome is a little bit hard. Usually we don't work with the console of Chrome, we work with the console of VS Code. But I don't want to install something called Node.js. I don't want to confuse you, so we will work for a while in the console of our editor online. Okay, so just go to google.com and type apply code JavaScript, like that, apply code JavaScript. Okay, you will find the link in the description, I think, and we will go to the first link, applycode.io. Okay, and great, and we have here just the editor like we have in our VS Code. Okay, but this is just for the test. Okay, and this is what we want to practice what the basics that we learn. So the first thing, I will close this result view here. You click just and close here. Also I will close this info, and we are fine. So I will delete all that, and I will increase the screen, and I will type console log to show you that we don't need to put the script tag, okay, that I put in each file in the previous example. So I will type here console log hello, and we have here the code executed immediately. You don't have to click any run here or save or anything. We have hello here. Okay, console log hello, and we have the hello in the console, like the console of Chrome. It's a little bit more cleaner here. So now what I want to do, I want to create a JSON object. Okay, I will just remember you, JSON object is just like arrays. In the arrays we know that the value, if I have a quick array here, hello world, hello Joey, for example 15, this is a simple array. Okay, we have hello, they have the k by default, the k 0, remember this is the position 0. Joey has the k of 1, 15 has the k of 2. Okay, so JSON object is just the format of the writing is a little bit different, so I will type it here. So I will create an object, I will name it obj, for example, equal, the first thing, curly braces. Okay, and here we put the k values. For example, I have a list, an array that each value have a k. For example, I want to store the data of for example a user. Okay, the user has, for example, a property username. I will make the value, okay, to Joey, like that, and here we separate the elements. So this is, we call it an element in the object. Okay, this is an element. In the array we have just, for example, Joey, but here in the object, in JSON object, we have the k and the value. Okay, and here we don't have numbers, and here I will show, for example age, so separated with comma. Remember here the value with the here the value separated with comma. Okay, and here the age, for example 15. Okay, and here this is like a k, and this is the value will be a string or integer. Okay, here for example the city is New York, for example. Okay, now I create my object. So I will remember you again, JSON is just another type of variables, like arrays, like integers. Okay, so I created right here, this is the format of JSON. We have a k and we have a value, each k and value, after we separate the elements with comma. So now what the advantage of this writer? So the first thing, I don't have to remember what's the k, what the position like in the arrays. Remember, in arrays, to get an element I have to know the position exactly. But in JSON object, I can just type console log. I want to display, for example, the age. So I will type the variable, the object is obj, is the same name here. Okay, obj, and I want the age. So simply I would type dot age, and I have 15 here. Okay, if I want the name and the age, so I will type here, for example, my name is, I want the name, so I will concatenate with obj dot username. Okay, plus plus I want the age. I have age here, the property age of the object obj. Okay, this is just a name that I give. You can give anything here. Plus obj dot age. Okay, my name is Joey. I'm 15. You'll notice that this console is very clean, it's more cleaner than the console of Chrome. Okay, So this is a JSON object, very simple. So so for example, I want to display the case of this object. I want to display what the case that I have in this object. I want to display just the username and the age and the city. So what I can do here a for with another type. I want the k in obj. So don't worry if you don't understand this line. I just want to introduce you some advanced things here. So for var k in obj, in this obj here, I want to display the k, console.log k, and I have just the username here and the age and the city. Okay, so I display each k of this object. So this is so far what we have to know for now. Okay, so I will just recap. The JSON object is just like arrays and integers, is just have the format difference. Okay, we want to store case and values. Okay, I have some data like this. I have a client that have the username. I want each value to be a little bit identified with the k. So here I can get, if I want to get the username, I would type obj.username. If I want to get the age, I would type obj.age. Okay. We will talk about a function so much used. Also, you can find this in frameworks called Foreach. So Foreach is a functions of array. This is what you should know and what you have to know so far. Is a method of arrays. It takes a function and apply it to each item. So we will see an example here. So for example, I have an array that contains 3 elements, 1, 2, 3. Simply, I will a variable called r. Okay, this r, I will apply the function for each. This function take a function that will be applied to each item. So here it's just like a loop, but here will be, for example, in the first case will be 1, and I will apply this function that will take 1 and console log 1. Will be after I will go to the second item 2 and so on. So we will go to and practice that. So I will go quickly to my browser. So I will go to google.com and we will use the same website that we used in the previous video to test our code. So I will repeat for new people. So I will type apply code JavaScript. Apply code JavaScript. And the first website, we have this website here. I will close this tab. I will close this tab and I will delete all this. So the first thing, we will create an array. Okay, so I will type here var r, for example, or a, just a, contain 1, 15, 20, 100, 200, for example. Okay, so now I want to take each element of this array and apply a function. So I will type here I dot for each, and here he take a function that will be applied to each item. So I will type here a function. I will create a function right here. So function. Okay. This function should take an argument. The argument will be the item. It's like a loop. We take the element I, but here we take the item. So I will type. I will name it item, or I will name it element. What you want. And here I want to execute the code for each item. So I will firstly I will just console log the item. So LA, and I have 1, 15, 15, 20, and 200. Great. Okay, we can use it. We can do the same thing using loops, but this is more simple than create a variable var I and see the position and type the length. Okay, this is more simple. I want just to apply a function to each element. I can just create a functions here. So I will create a function, for example, display, and here we take arguments. I will just type r. This function that display whatever passing in the arguments. So I will type here console.log r. Great. And now I don't have to create the function in the for each. The for each should take a function with the arguments. This is what for each should. And here I have a function that take one argument, is display, so I can type r. And I have a problem here. So r is not defined. What the problem? Here we take a function that take each element. So I will type here. So I have to create a function here. So I will take a function that take an element, and here I want to pass this function element like that, and I have 15 and 20 and 200. Okay, so I can create a function right here and pass it to and execute it here. Okay, so I can create another function and execute it for each element. Okay, for example, what I can do, I have just numbers here, so I want these functions. So I want this function to add one to each element. Okay, so I will make a function here, another function. I will make it calculate, for example, just add one, or I will name it add one. Add one. Take a variable, for example, and here it just return the r plus 1. Okay, and what I will do here, this is something will be weird for you. I just want to make something advanced, because the for each is just apply a function to each item of a collection of an array. Okay, so I will pass here the add one elements. Okay, so the add one will return an element, is I will return will return if we give, for example, 1, it will return 2, and I will pass 2 here, so display 2. Add 1 we will give to add 1 the element, the second element is 15. I will just resize that 15. So I will give 15 here to add 1. Add 1 will return 15 plus 1, so will be here 15 plus 1 means 52. Okay, so I click in something here. Here we have L. Okay, so will be 51. Okay, because we have 50 here, and we add 1 to each element here. Okay, so just I make make the example complicated a little bit, but for each function what you have to know is apply a function to each collection, to each item of the collection A here that we have here. Okay, we'll do another exercise. One of my preferred and favorite format of exercise is trying to display a format. Okay, so I will show you. You can find this exercise in C, in C++, in C# also. Is you have to try to display this format. We can say this exercise is easy. There are some exercises that are really hard. In this exercise we have to display this format. In the first line we have 1 star, in the second we have 2 stars, in the third we have 3 stars, and we will go on. Okay, so the advice in this format, in this types of exercise, you have to observe the format of the output. Okay, for example, here we can notice easily that when we go from line to line, we increase the numbers of stars. Okay, for example, here we have 1, we have 2, 3, 4, so we can think easily to use loops. Okay, so the first thing, I will go to google.com, and here I will use the same website of the previous video, PlyCode, that has a little bit a clean console than the console of Chrome. So PlyCode JavaScript, you will go to plycode.io, PlyCode here, and we have this website. The first thing, I will delete this view, delete this info. Okay, and we delete this code right here. First thing, always console.log hello, just to see the outputs here. Okay, so the first thing we can notice that here, when we go from line to line, we increase the numbers of stars. So we can think to use loops. Okay, here we don't care about the numbers of line. Okay, we can, the most important thing is to see the format of the output like that. Okay, so I will go and I will do a loop. So for var I equal to 0, I less than 10, for example, I plus plus, and what I want to display, I want to display it a star. So console.log a star like that. Okay, great. So for e and from I equal to 0 to 10, I display in each output, I display a star. So it's just to show you what we have to display. Okay, but I don't want that. I don't want to each the line that have the similar output. I want the first line 1 has one star, and the second line has 2 stars, and the third line 3 stars. Okay, so maybe I can display if I start from 1 here. Okay, if I start from 1, I have the same output. Maybe if I display the numbers that I do a loop that starts from 1, for example, to the number that I have here, and I display the stars. I will repeat. Maybe I can display, I try to display the number of stars that I have here. Okay, for example, I will show you. If I display here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 9. Okay, so if I success to display the numbers of stars of I. Okay, for example, I display here 2 stars, here 3 stars, 4 stars. So how can I do this? So I can do another loop that starts from 0 to the number that I have here. Okay, so I will do it and you will understand. Okay, this is this type of this exercise. If you make it in the first time, will be after easy. Okay, so I will do another variable. Okay, so this is the first time that we do 2 loops. G equal to 0 and G is less than I, so we want a variable that starts from 0 to I here. Okay, so for example, I will be sometime 5, 7, for example, and we want to start from 0 to this number here. Okay, and we will do G++. Okay, and here I want to make a variable equal a string equal to, for example, stars equal to just a string. Okay, and here I will concatenate the stars equal to stars plus a star here. Okay, and there I will display the stars, and I will explain the code. Don't worry, I will explain the stars here, and we have just 1 star. Okay, so we will see. So here I start from 0 to I start from here, not console.log.star, console.log.stars here, and we have the same format that we have here. Okay, I will explain it. Don't worry. Of course, if we increase this number, we will see the format gets bigger. So the first thing, we will test that if we have, for example, I equal to 2. For example, I have here the variable G starts from 0, and G would be less than 2 because I equal to 2 and G++. Okay, so stars is an empty string. We will concatenate with the variable 0, so we will have 1 star. We will go to 2, we will go to 1, we will have 2 stars, and we will stop. Why? Because I is less than 2, because I equal to 2. For example, I will type it here, I equal to 2, for example, and G will start with stars from 0. So it will do 2 loops, and the condition G should always be less than I. So we will have 2 stars. If we have 5, I equal to 5, G will start to 0 and we'll concatenate with star, 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 and we will have this formula, okay? Another exercise of the same type of the previous exercise, and it will have the same, a little bit the same solution, because I want to be sure that you understand this type of exercises, because we will do a little bit harder than this exercise in the coming video, okay? So we will try to display this formula using loops, okay? So we can notice easily that in this line we have a numbers of stars. In the second line we have the same numbers but -1, okay? In the third line we have minus the -1 of the second line, so -2 of the first line. So we can notice here that we can do a loop, okay, that starts from the last number. Remember, we did a loop that starts from the last number, and we will get into the first. So I will show you. We will explain this in the solution. So I will go very quick to my browser. I will type google.com, and we will use the console that I say again. I use the console online because it's a little bit more cleaner than the console of Chrome. So I will go to applycode.io, applycode.io. I will delete all this code here, and I will close this. Okay. So the first thing, we want a loop that starts from the last number and decrease, okay, and go back to the first number. So I will make a loop that starts. If you never create a loop like that, you can go to my previous videos. I did a loop that starts from the last number. The number should be greater than 0, and we do a minus minus, okay? So we'll start from 10 and we will go in the decrease order, okay? And here I will just console log I to see the result. Console.log I, and we have in the first line 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we start from the last number here. Okay, so now what I want to do, I want in the first line display 10 stars. In the second line display 10 stars. 9 stars. In the third line display 8 stars, and we will go to. So I want a loop that starts from 0 to this number that we have here, and we will display it, okay? So the difference between the previous exercise and this exercise is just this line here. This line we start from 10, not we start from 0 and we go into the increasing order. No, we go in the decreasing order, okay? So I will make a loop, another loop here, a variable called g, okay? Again and again, if you find this type of exercises a little bit hard, you can ask me in the comments. So var g equal to I, g should be less than I, and g plus plus, okay? And here I want to create a string, so I will show you and explain after. And here I want to concatenate string equal to string plus star here, and we will close up this. And we don't have nothing here because I didn't display the star, so I will display it here, console.log str, like that. And what the problem? I don't have nothing here. So we have I that starts from 10, this line is correct, and we have g plus plus here for var equal g equal to I. Okay, so we have another problem here. I don't want to g equal to I, g equal to 0. Okay, and we have the same correction, okay? We have the same type of outputs. So I will explain it. So we have a variable we start from 10, okay? Why? Because we want to have the number, the max number that's at 10, and we we want to have 9, and here we want 8, okay? Because we want to display the numbers of stars that's equal to this I, okay? So how can I do this? I will create a string, okay? And I will create a loop that starts from 0 to this number here. So in the first execution, I will be equal to 10. So I will start from 0, and I will concatenate with the first stars, with the second stars, with, okay, so the str in the first execution, so I will just show you, I equal to 10. Okay, so str in the first execution, we will concatenate with the stars 1, 2, 3, 2 until j. So it will be like that, because I concatenate 10 of stars. Okay, I don't want to count that, but consider it like 10. Okay, in the second execution, we will have here 8, and we will start from 0, and we will count, append, and add this stars to 8, and we will have 8 stars, for example, here. Okay, start talking about functions already exist in the ecosystem of JavaScript, like the push function that we saw in the videos of array. So in this video, we'll talk about a very simple function called typeof. This function just gets the type of a variable. This may be very important when we have, for example, a collection, a very long collection, array that contains 100 elements, for example, and we want to handle just the elements that are of type number, for example. Okay, so this is maybe, I believe, it's very important to know. So the how to work the typeof function is very easy. You just type typeof, and you put inside the variable that you want to know the type of. So for example, if I put hello world, okay, I will get string. If I type, for example, 15 like that, I will get number. Okay, so we'll test this very quickly. Very easy function. Okay, so I will go to google.com, and I will use the same website online. Okay, so I will use apply code JavaScript. Okay, so I will use this apply code. I will delete all this. Okay, this is the same thing. If you prefer to work in VS Code, no problem. I just want to use this clean console. Okay, don't want to install any Node.js or something. So the first thing, I will create a variable, for example, name equal. We don't need to create it, but I will create a variable called name, for example, Joey, for example, and I will create a variable called age 20, for example. And here I will console log the type of. Notice that he suggests me the function typeof, and here I want to know the type of a variable. So I would, for example, want to see the type of a variable name. So I have string here. If I put a variable age, and I have a number. Very easy to use. And we will see in the couple videos a function like that, but sometimes will be more harder. For example, substring and the functions of arrays like pop are very easy, and some functions are a little bit more harder. But we will see it, because those functions are very important, because JavaScript, like I say in the first video, we have to study it not just to work in the front end, for example, to manipulate the DOM, or work with it also in the back end. So it's very important to know how we can manipulate data. We'll talk about another function that already exists in the ecosystem of JavaScript called substring. Those type of functions you can find in all the languages, Java, PHP. So if you understand this in JavaScript, you understand it very much every language. So substrings mean that we get apart from a string, we specify the first letter using the position, and we specify also the last position. So I will show you very quick. So here we have, for example, the variable name called hello world, very simple variable, and we want, for example, to display just the word hello inside the variable name. So we will specify I want the letter that have the position 0 mean H, because H in position 0, E in position 1, L, the first L in the position 2, the second L in the position 3, and O in the position 4. The space, also we count the space in the position 5, and so on. So I will go very quick to google.com, and I will use the same website. We just practice some basics functions, so we don't need to type it in our editor. So here I will delete all this. Sometimes it's very important to know how you can practice something without creating a new file and type new JavaScript file. It's happened to me a lot when I want to test a function and I forget how a function works. I go just to add it editor online. Okay, so I will create a var name, so I will increase the character very quick. Var name equal to hello world, and I want just the word hello, so I will just type console log just to display in the console, and here I will type the variable name dot substring, and I want from the position 0 to 5, and I have hello. For example, I want the word here, so I will count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I will start from 6 to the end. To the name, I want the end. So also the variables of type string has the property length, like arrays. So I can type name dot length -1. Okay, and I have word. If I type length, I have word. So I start from the position 6, so the end position. Okay, so this is how substring works. If you understand it, you understand this function, you will find it in Python, you will find it in Java, you will find it in C#, in PHP. Okay, I work with PHP, with Java, with Python, and all the functions. You can find sometime the same name. Okay, the same name of the function. So you can find substr like that. Okay. Continue talking about the functions that already exist in JavaScript, and this video will talk about an important function called search. So search, basically we can search for a word that if it exists in a sentence, for example. Okay, and if it exists, we return the position of its first letter. Okay, and if not exist, the function return -1. Okay, this is just a simple example. For example, if we have a variable name called hello world, for example, I want to console log name that search word, it will give me 5. Because why? Because this variable name contain the word word. Okay, so we will return the position of W, the first letter of this word, W. Okay, if we search for the word go, and this sentence doesn't contain this word go, so the function automatically return -1. Okay, so we will go very quick to test it. So I will go to google.com, and I will use the same website online. We test just a quick function, so I will not create a new file. Okay, so here I will just close up this and close up this also, and increase the characters and delete all this. I will create a variable. I will call it str, for example, hello or hi, how are you? Okay, now we will search for a word. I want to search for a word that exists in the str. Okay, so I will just console log. I want to search for a word that exists in the variable str. So I would use str dot, so what the problem here? Yes, str dot search, and here I want to search, for example, for this word here, R. So if it exists, I will return the position of the first letter here. Okay, so I will type R, and here I will close this, and I will close this. Okay, console log, so I type console log wrong, like that. And I have 7. Why? Because 7 is the position of the first letter of this word R in the str. Okay, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, this is the position of R. So now imagine that I want I will search for the a word doesn't exist. For example, go. For example, I have -1. Okay, so actually we can use this function to verify, to validate if this word exists in this str. Okay, so this function is will be very benefit into checking a character inside a string, and we can use it in forms, for example, in Node.js, for example. So don't worry if you don't understand that, but this function you can find it if you understand how this function works in JavaScript. You will find it in C#, in PHP, in Java. So it's very important to understand those type of functions. Talk about the replace function. So the replace function, basically, if we take a variable, a string variable, and we want to replace a part on it, okay, with another string. So let's take an example. So I have this variable hello world, very basic variable, and I want to change the word hello. The variable name contain hello world. I want to change the word hello by hi. So now the variable name will be hi world. Okay, so if I console log name does replace hello by hi, the variable will be hi world. Okay, so console log, if we take for example and we try to replace a word does not exist in this variable. For example, Google. I want to replace the word Google. Google not exist in name, so this will not change the variable, and we will not get an error. So let's practice that. So I will go to google.com, and while we practice some basics function, I will not create a new file and so on. So I will go to JavaScript online, or you can type code JavaScript. This is a great website to practice JavaScript. So here I will create a variable. For example, variable str equal to hi, how are you? Now what I want to do, I want the variable str, I want to replace the word hi by hello. Okay, so I will make the str equal to str dot replace. I want to replace what? I want to replace hi by hello. And now if I console log str, I have hello, how are you? So great. So this function is very important in the case that we want, for example, to delete all spaces in this string, for example. Okay, so this is a basic function that you can find that I say it also always that those functions are very important, and if you understand this in JavaScript, you understand it in PHP, in Java. Okay, programming is programming in all languages. Just some advanced features that change. Talk about pop function. So the pop function basically is very easy. It just we delete the last element of an array. Let's take an example. I have a variable called names array that contain 3 items: Joey, Chandler, and Ross. Okay. So if I type names, mean the variable names dot pop, and I use the function pop, so the variable names now will contain just Joey and Chandler. Okay, because the last element is deleted. So I'm gonna show you. I will type code JavaScript just to practice this function online. I will not create another file for JavaScript and so on. So here you can practice your functions. So I will create a variable called names, for example, equal to is an array. So Joey, for example, Chandler, and Ross. Okay, I will add, for example, Phoebe, like that. Now what I want to do, I want to delete the last elements. So I want to delete this Phoebe. So I will type just names dot pop, like that. And now if I console log names, I have just Joey and Chandler and Ross. Phoebe was deleted. Okay. If I continue, I want to delete also the elements before the last. Okay, so I will type here pop. Maybe later on I think to make the demonstration of all those methods. Okay, it will be a good thing to understand how it works. So now I have just Joey and Chandler. So we delete the last elements. So the array will be Joey, Chandler, and Ross. And after I delete the elements a second time, and so I delete the elements Ross. So very easy function. Okay, I think this will be the last video about the basics. We will do some advanced exercises, and to move on to some advanced features in JavaScript, I think we need to go to the HTML and CSS tutorial. So I'm preparing a very beautiful tutorial that we're gonna make a real project using HTML and CSS. We will talk about two simple functions in JavaScript called sort and reverse. So the first is very simple. It just sort an array alphabetically. Okay, so let's take this example. We have an array that contains 4 items, and to use this function we just take the name of the array and we type dot sort without any arguments, and this array will be sorted alphabetically. So I will show you. So I will go to an editor online very quick. So this is an editor online called playcode.io. I will not create a new file, but you are free to do it in your editor. So I will create an array, for example r1 equal to, for example, b2 here, c1, for example, here 5, and here e10, for example. And here if I type r1 dot sort, now this array will be sorted alphabetically. Now if I console.log, if I display this array in the console, what's the problem with this? So I have e5 in the first item, and I have b2 in the second, and c1 in the third. Okay, so we sort this array alphabetically. Very easy function. Okay, maybe later on I will make a demonstration for all this method in JavaScript. Okay, now we will see the reverse function. So the reverse is very easy. Remember we did an example how we can reverse an array in JavaScript and an exercise. So if I type here, so I will just r1 here, I have type reverse. So notice what's happened. The last element now in the first position, the before the last in the second position. If I add here, for example here anything, so notice here the last item in the first, before the last in the second. So we reverse this array. The first will be the last here. A very simple methods that already exists in JavaScript that make the handle of the data very easy and the handle of collections very easy.